So there's two ways that we're going to use audio effects in our sessions. And one of them is by inserting them directly onto a track, which is what I already demonstrated. And that's referred to as serial processing. So you have to imagine like a television series. The one episode comes and the next episode and then the next episode, and there's a linear component to it. And that's the same thing on audio tracks. So if I open up this hi-hat track, so audio is coming from the track into this audio effect and hitting the auto pan. So if I add another audio effect, and let's add echo right there. It's gonna go from the auto pan into the echo. So I'll just solo this and we can see what the result of that is. I can turn the echo off and we're just getting the pan. Just creating more texture. So one after the next is what's referred to as serial processing. So the other approach is to do things in parallel. And we're going to use the send and return functionality in order to do that. So by default, you probably have a reverb and a delay track set up for you on the right-hand side of your session next to the master. And these are return tracks. So the idea is that audio is going to come out of the tracks into our session and meet the audio effects that are inserted onto these tracks. So if I double click on here, you can see there's a reverb, and then conversely over here, we have a delay. And then from there, you can see audio is going to the master track and then exiting out of the output that you've dictated. So at this point, we're starting to deal with signal flow a little bit more on the tracks. And the way we get audio from these tracks into the return tracks is by using the send knobs. So we're going to send a certain amount of audio from our track to the return track, which then goes over to the master track. So I've taken off the reverbs that I had put on these sampler instruments, and I'm going to just solo these right now, and we can get an idea of what they sound like when we process them in parallel with reverb. So halfway up the knob, there's full reverb. Some delay. So the question is, what's the difference? Why would you want to do something in serial as opposed to in parallel? And there's a number of answers to that question. First off, we might want to have a mix of the wet and the dry signal. So the wet being what's being processed on this return track, and the dry just being whatever's coming directly out of the track into the master. And it does sound different than having an audio effect directly inserted onto this track. Secondly, time-based processors like reverb and delay give a real sense of space. You know, reverb is the amount of time it takes for a sound to reach a wall or a point of reflection and come back to me. So it's giving me some sort of an idea of what room this session is living inside of. And you might want all of your tracks to live in the same room. So you can just use one return track, one reverb, and send all of your tracks to the same space, if you will. Lastly, depending on how powerful your computer is, having one reverb is a lot better than having 30 reverbs from a processing standpoint. The less processing you're doing, the more you can use it for something else, whether that's different types of audio effects, more virtual instruments, whatever it is. You kind of have to balance what your computer's capable of and what you want to do. So doing things in parallel can save you a lot of CPU as well. And that's the basis of processing both in serial, inserting things onto tracks, and in parallel by sending amounts of audio to a return track to be processed there and then sent to the master. as you're going through this process of playing with audio effects, there's no right or wrong way to do something. There are ways that people tend to do something. So in general, time-based processors like reverbs and delays and phasers and flangers, they do get processed in parallel. But if you want to insert a reverb directly onto your track, or if you want to see what happens with 3 or 4 different types of reverbs, then you should absolutely do that. Just be creative. It's an opportunity for you to experiment, and there's no right or wrong way.